I would talk about being inclusive, and I would talk about trying to turn your negatives into positives, if that can be on the same panel. And why? Because it's something that's quite close to myself. I don't like leaving people out. I'm very passionate about inclusivity. I'm passionate about diversity because I've been on the other end of it where I've been left out quite a bit growing up. And I've met people who have gone through similar things and kind of put themselves in a bit of a box. And sometimes those things that people have gone through, whether it's racial abuse or sexism or anything like that's been quite detrimental to them. There's a way of turning that into a positive and using that, and it can go hand in hand with trying to explore diversity a bit more. So I'm very passionate about that, and I definitely want people to hear more about that and see how they can turn their experiences into positives. For me, the most important world message, which might sound a bit silly, is to be nice to people. I think people underestimate how far it can go being nice to people and how far it can take you being nice to people. There's a lot of hate in the world at the moment, in loads of different countries, whether it's a racial thing, a cultural thing, religious thing. That sounds really cheesy. People should love each other more, which they don't do enough of. So that's, I think, for me, one of the most important world messages would be to love each other and be nice to people. I like to read. One thing I'm reading at the moment is a book by Oprah called What I Know For Sure. Someone gifted it to me, and it's just that I think it's a great book, so I like to just get sunk into a book. I also like something a bit more out of the ordinary for some people. I really like football. My dad was passionate about football, so I was raised on it. I'm one of 4 children, but there's 3 brothers who don't care about football at all. So it's a bit weird that I love football, watch it every weekend. I used to play, so those are my passions. I think people are a lot more socially anxious than they realise. So having to have conversations sometimes can be a bit overwhelming, where it's so much easier to use an emoji or use abbreviations and stuff like that. So I think people will love using Instagram and Snapchat and WhatsApp to talk to each other, and Facebook, because it's just easier, it's quicker, and you don't have to put too much effort into it. I don't like it. I'm not like, I think it's good in some ways, because that's the direction the world's heading. Social media is huge, but I also feel like I like talking to people. I like to talk to people face to face. If it can't be face to face, I like talking on the phone. When people just want to limit conversations or relationships to just social media, I think it can be quite exclusive, and I think it can detriment people's social kind of emotional intelligence. I don't think world leaders consider youth concerns as much as they should. A recent example would be they cut funding to schemes, they cut funding to, they close youth clubs, they cut funding to access into creative industries and industries that are maybe not the norm. I think these are a lot of things that young people are passionate about, and they seem to make it harder to get what we want. And I think if they felt like if they were listening to young people, or they recognised an issue, then it would reflect more in sort of the laws they discuss or the acts they want to pass. And I don't think it's reflective at all. And maybe just not the UK, maybe other places as well. I think access for young people is harder and harder. I think a forum for young people to share their thoughts and ideas can only be positive. I think even if you don't like what's being said, you're still learning, so you can only take it as a positive. I think people learning from other people's experiences, people hearing each other out, you start to find you have a common ground of people, or something you've never experienced before, and like, oh wow, I didn't know that goes on, or you're being enlightened in one way or another. If I could pick one country to know more about my contemporaries, funny enough, it'd be Nigeria, because my heritage is Nigerian, but I know very little about it. My parents came here years and years and years ago. My dad studied here. He grew up in Liverpool before he came here, and he was very much as much as he was an African man, he was a very westernized African man. My mum's probably a little bit less westernized, but she's been here longer than she's been in Nigeria, so you start to pick up certain practices. So I have no idea what uni would be like in Nigeria, or what, you know, studying would be like, how you go about the dating scene or socializing. I have literally no idea, and it's my motherland, and I can relate more to, we're weird enough, to British kids here than I could do to Nigerian kids the same age as me, or a bit younger, maybe a bit older than me. I have no idea, so that's where I would want to know more.